Welcome back, everybody, to the Success Partner Podcast. I am your host, Daya Naef, and today in the studio we have Hillary Hughes. Hillary has a very interesting career. She has a couple of specialties. I love a good niche practice, and they're very exciting, especially the sports stuff. I think a lot of people will find that very interesting. But I'm a little bit of a geek too, so I think the packaging and retail and products, consumer products practice is also very interesting. So Hillary, thanks again for being here. Just jump in and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I'm an attorney, a transactional attorney. I would say my key practice areas are corporate, commercial, and transactional intellectual property. And I focus on two main industries. One is consumer products or consumer brands, and I work with early stage and growth stage consumer products companies with all their legal needs, from formation, maybe agreements between founders, intellectual property protection, commercial agreements with manufacturers, distribution partners, sales, raw material supply, packaging supply, equipment, all those key commercial arrangements. I do regulatory advisory consulting on, packaging compliance and label compliance and what claims you can make about your products. We do capital raises, so helping these early stage and growth stage companies get the capital that they need to grow to the next level. And then we do M&A on the way out when they're being acquired, which is what most of the companies we work with are building towards. And then whatever else comes up in between, employment matters, immigration, um, you know, branding partnerships, collaborations, private label arrangements, celebrity and endorsement partnerships. And that's where the crossover is to my other side of my practice, which is sports and entertainment. And there we work mostly with athletes and entertainers, creative talent on their entertainment and sports contracts, and then also on their partnerships with larger consumer products companies to do endorsement deals. And then we'll help them. Sometimes they start their own consumer products company, their own skincare line or cosmetics line or their apparel line or headphone line, whatever it is. And then they often invest in early stage companies too. So we're able to help there. So there's a decent amount of crossover, even though the practices sound fairly different.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely would see that. There's definitely a lot of productization of your fame and influence once you become recognized.
Yeah, it's powerful branding to put, and putting two brands together can really, one plus one equal four.
That's very interesting. How did you get into this?
Kind of not by design, right? So I became a corporate lawyer and then began learning the commercial side of the business and intellectual property matters. And so I found that combination of corporate and commercial and intellectual property made for a very good business lawyer, right? Because you can address issues that come up on all key areas of a business. So that's kind of how I started focusing on it. And then I just realized that the clients I was attracting were mostly in the consumer product space. And so that it just kind of grew from there. I started marketing that specialty. And then more and more just came. And then on the sports and entertainment side, that more came out of the intellectual property practice, and, licensing and protecting intellectual property or creating new intellectual property and protecting the new intellectual property. So it came out of that, and the crossovers kind of were just apparent, like I described earlier, the partnerships between the celebrities and the consumer products companies.
Would you share a success story with us? You don't have to name names unless you want to.
Oh, success stories. So I'm trying to think of a good one. Well, we help consumer products companies in a lot of different areas. So we've had successes in dealing with claims. There are a lot of plaintiffs, class action type attorneys that target consumer product companies because their products are very visible on the shores of shelves in retail stores, or marketed on the internet or on their own, direct to consumer websites or through Amazon. So they're often a target. And so we help them protect against liabilities, sort of set up their business to prevent dealing with these sorts of claims. And then if they do happen to get hit with one, or sometimes brands come to us once they've gotten hit with one, then successfully negotiating a settlement or a way to get out of it without it costing them too much or disrupting their business too much. So we have helped consumer products companies on the food and beverage or on the skincare cosmetics side deal with some of these claims. Prop 65 in California is a common claim. As you may know, California, very consumer protectionist state. It has a whole list of chemicals that if they're present in certain quantities in a product, they're considered to be a known carcinogen event. And so you have to either disclose that if it's in your product or modify the product to not have it. And many of those are just naturally occurring in the soil or in chemical reactions. And so it's hard for companies to avoid them. So we help them come up with structures to do so. And then on the entertainment side, it's either, music deals, sometimes an artist signing to their first record label that's very rewarding, kind of helping them make sure they get market terms and that they own a fair share of their compositions or music publishing, as it's called, or helping an athlete get kind of market terms for their endorsement deals, or when they partner with a consumer product company that gives them a revenue share, making sure things about that revenue share make sense, and there's a marketing plan and there's a budget to spend on it so that they're kind of assured that it's going to be a successful partnership. So helping them structure those, we do that a lot.
Yeah, it's very important. Sometimes that's a one time deal for folks.
Yeah, for sure. And if it's successful and it's visible, it can attract other, brand partnerships in the future. So those are really important deals. And it's also important to protect the celebrity when you're representing the celebrity against things that could go wrong with the product, right? You don't want your celebrity to get sued if there's a product liability issue and say, hey, I bought that because so and so was recommending it. So, making sure you're protecting them against those types of claims as well. Because the plaintiffs' class action attorneys come for the large consumer companies, goods companies as well, not just the kind of smaller, emerging, and growing ones.
Very interesting. Oh, as I mentioned before the show, I'm very involved in the AI world. I don't know if you've had a case like this before where someone got cloned and then was endorsing a product. Have you seen that yet?
I have not handled a case like that, but it does not surprise me. There are all kinds of things coming out of AI, good, bad, and in between. It's just new, innovative technology, and there's a lot of applications for it. So we've implemented protections and agreements for our celebrities for use of AI, right? You're not using it without their consent. You're not altering, their voice or their image or things about them without their consent, because you're using someone's name, image, and likeness, even if it's a artificially intelligence generated version. So you want to protect everyone's right of publicity to control how their name, image, likeness, other biography, voice, signature, autograph are used.
Yeah, I mean that's their livelihood. Is
Yes,
their
for sure.
likeness. Yeah, very interesting. And then what about on the consumer like packaging side? I know you mentioned a little bit about 65, yes, in California. I've always wanted to look at like a fast food restaurant because there is that rumor, urban legend that all the fast food restaurants have known carcinogens and have to have the label.
I think, fairly recent studies have shown that California consumers have gotten so used to seeing these warnings and labels that it's almost, is it desensitized or sensitized to them, desensitized to it, that they just kind of disregard it now. So I'm not sure it is achieving its intended purpose anymore.
Hmm.
But yes, there's a lot of states that are enacting laws called extended producer responsibility laws that
Okay.
are trying to tackle the cost of recycling, packaging, and materials. So states are starting to assess fees, reporting obligations and fees on companies that introduce packaging into their state and burden the recycling system. So, reporting how many goods, the quantity and type of goods that you're selling into one of the states that has these laws, and then paying a fee based on how the volume that's going in. So it's a whole new area of compliance, and there's, differences from one state to another. So kind of staying on top of them is a new emerging area. And then there are other changes to state laws that are coming out of, or considered to be coming out of the MAHA movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement. So, for example, Texas and Louisiana are barring certain artificial dyes in food and cosmetic products. And so, again, every time there's a regulatory change, it's both a burden and an opportunity. So, companies that now make more natural dyes and less synthetic elements to them are now having an opportunity. They're having their moment. To get companies and brands and products to use their natural dyes rather than the synthetic ones. So, it's a burden on one hand and an opportunity on the other. And they're also, Louisiana and Texas are also doing their own version of Prop 65. They've listed about 44 ingredients that if it's contained in your product, you now have to include a notice. And the notice is interesting. It's saying this ingredient has been banned by Australia and Europe. And so it lists countries that have banned that ingredient. And that's the notice, not like California that says it's been known to cause, cancer. But this is, you should know, there are other countries that have banned this ingredient. So that's going to be another reporting requirement and likely cause of change to companies who don't want to add the notices to reformulate or restructure their products to not contain some of these ingredients. So the idea is that ingredients will become safer and more healthy.
That's interesting. I'm a little surprised that it's Texas and Louisiana. As a Louisianan, I wouldn't think that.
Oh, I'm a Louisianan too. I didn't.
I did see that you went to LSU. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to Loyola for law school.
Well, that's so funny. Small world.
It is a small world. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a little.
you would think it'd be more liberal states, and
That's exactly. I was like, this is Washington State. This is, yeah. I'm very surprised. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see what effect that actually has.
yeah, it is a little bit of time before it comes into effect, so business have enough time to plan. But yes, it's surprising, and my guess is more states will do something similar. Uh,
Yeah.
so,
As far as like desensitization, like when you go to other countries and you see smoking signs, there's a big thing that says smoking kills. Like there's
no
like not
trouble.
any fine print at all. And yet you see that like in Europe, which is still one of the number one smoking communities in the
Yeah,
world. So it's like, okay, even that is not a deterrent.
yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot of cultural differences. Uh, Yeah, that's definitely one of them. And the types of ingredients that are being banned have been long banned in Europe, for
Yes.
example. So it's like America lags behind a little in some of its safety uh,
Hmm.
regulation.
Yeah, we prefer to be pro industry. I guess that would be more pro. I won't name any names, but we all know the big names in manufacturing and food production and agri
Yes, yeah,
production, and we kind of lend toward them for economic and money reasons over the overall health of the population. Well, wonderful. This has been a very interesting conversation. How do people find you?
Email's usually the best way to reach me, hillary.hughes@foster.com. Always happy to help on either the consumer product side or the sports and entertainment side.
Very fascinating. And I saw you on LinkedIn. You have a nice presence there. So we'll put your LinkedIn in the show notes as well.
Thank you, and thanks for the time and the interview. What a great platform you're providing, and good to see you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So thanks everybody for listening. This has been another episode of the Success Partner Podcast. I'm your host, Daya Naef. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned.